It's actually uncanny how there are several striking resemblances between the iPhone versus Samsung Galaxy war and the Kendrick-Drake beef. iPhone versus Samsung Galaxy has been the greatest saga of consumer tech history, and this beef between Drake and Kendrick has been arguably the biggest rap rivalry of all time. Both rappers and smartphones similarly entered a new era, had three key culture-shifting early projects, and then one became more of a master of one, while the other became more of a jack of all trades. From Kendrick and Apple Glazer fanbases to Drake and Samsung both having self-destructing nukes which helped their rivals win the culture war, this is how iPhone versus Samsung Galaxy is Kendrick versus Drake. Say what you want, but it's undeniable that both Kendrick and Drake have legendary rap status, and iPhones and Samsung Galaxies have been the two headliners of smartphones for roughly the last 2 decades. Circumstantially, the come up of the smartphones and these two rappers are oddly similar. Apple and Kendrick were from America, whereas Drake and Samsung were from outside the US. Both smartphones and hip-hop came at a new age where things weren't established and the market was open. Mobile smartphones were entirely new to the scene around 2007, so everyone was putting their best foot forward. Similarly, music was entering the blog era right around the 2000s. It wasn't physical CDs that were being sold, rather it was moving into digital sales through iTunes, and soon after that came the streaming services. And this is also when the internet started booming, so you didn't have to get a radio hit or lines of people trying to buy your album at the store, because people could actually listen from home on iTunes. On top of that, the conversation wasn't just through news outlets, as social media started to become a mainstream source of news. Consumer opinions were way more visible and vocal, which would paint a more accurate narrative to what was the general consensus of the masses for both smartphones and music. The music production process was also becoming more digital, as you could just make beats with a computer without an MPC or beatmaker machine. Even the sound was transitioning from boom bap to synthetic trap drums. For hip hop and consumer tech, the landscape was entirely different and going into a new era, and there was room for someone new to be the best. The throne was up for grabs, and all of them went for it. Both the rappers and smartphones pioneered and shifted the culture, each with 3 early key projects. Both had bold intro statements, pioneered something new, and showed they could do it again. In 2007, when the iPhone was first announced, it shocked the world. It was on everyone's Christmas wish list, like legit of all ages. We hadn't seen nothing like this. The touchscreen was capacitive, so you didn't have to press it with force, and later on they introduced apps. It really was a computer in the palm of your hand. The mobile phone industry completely changed their strategy towards making touch capacitive smartphones. This is similar to the likes of Kendrick Lamar's album Good Kid, Mad City. When that album dropped, K-Dot made a cinematic concept record with introspective lyricism that made a statement in the rap game. Records like Money Trees and Swimming Pools proved that you could make a conscious record without pop production and still break into the mainstream. On the flip side, later on in 2011, Samsung came out with the Galaxy S2, and this was like them saying, oh, we could do it too. And it was completely different. The S2 screen was bigger, Android had widgets so you could customize the phone, and it had a removable battery that you could just swap in and out. Coincidentally, that same year, Drake came out with his sophomore studio album, Take Care. That gave us an iconic breakup song in Marvin's Room and a classic anthem like Headlines that took over the entire radio. He heavily contributed to every kid saying YOLO with his hit The Motto. Both these rappers and smartphones became established in their respective games, in which came their next classic, the iPhone 4. It just brought a new level of premium. Gone were the plastic phones, as Apple made a glass sandwich with a metal frame, and alongside that, the UI had new top-tier features like a notification center and multitasking with recent apps. Shoot, we still see the influence of that phone even to this day. People say this might be the most influential phone of all time, which they also say about Kung Fu Kenny's To Pimp a Butterfly. This was next level poetic writing on relevant social and political issues, paired with a unique experimental jazzy production. He would create a cultural powerful anthem with All Right, masterfully displaying his storytelling skills and pushing the boundaries of social commentary through his raw emotion. On the other hand, Samsung made arguably its biggest innovation by massively increasing their phone screen size to 4.8 inches with the Galaxy S3. This was huge because at the time, phones were way smaller. Samsung allowed users to see way more on their significantly bigger screens, and they're definitely the reason why smartphones are the size they are today. Similarly, Drake pioneered his own style, being a rapper that could sing. When he released his third album, nothing was the same. Not only did he again popularize another phrase, started from the bottom, now we here, he introduced a completely different sound with his giga hit, Just Hold On, We're Going Home. There, he legit wasn't rapping at all. He was just singing, and he got all of America singing with him. And remember, he's from Canada. At this point, the rap and smartphone rivalry was packed with great competition from both sides. And it was their third project that cemented them as greats. The iPhone 5's unibody all-metal design with chamfered edges brought a different level of class. And with iOS getting more and more refined and its universally recognized visuals, both software and hardware, it really showed Apple's dominance in the US. This was like Kendrick Lamar's Damn. This was when Kendrick just didn't take over hip-hop, he took over the entire music industry like Drake did. With giga hits like Humble, DNA, Loyalty, and Love, you could see the influence with his so many iconic punchline hooks, and it wasn't just Drake where everyone used him for Instagram captions. He also created a concept record still with deep personal cuts like Fear. On the Samsung side of things, the third key project was not a Galaxy S phone, but actually a Note phone, the Galaxy Note 3. The Note 3 to me was the phone that first introduced the Pro concept. Because it was a bigger phone, they could have a bigger battery in which the phone lasted significantly longer than normal sized phones. Not only was it an even bigger, big phone, it had this unique fan favorite faux leather design and an S Pen. It definitely played a huge part in big brands eventually creating Pro phones, as later on the Note phone became the Ultra phone for Samsung. This was the most versatile phone we ever saw that was actually all around stellar quality, which is exactly what Champagne Papi displayed with his 2016 album, Views. The cultural moment of this album was insane. His decade-defining generational hit, One Dance, got the entire globe grooving, and it's still played to this day at every single big event. His other giga hit, Hotline Bling, created one of the most iconic meme formats of all time, and he even put on Toronto with his album cover. It was more so the singles than the album, but still, Drake literally dominated the culture. He was the icon. He showed that he could do it all on this record as the most versatile rapper out there, with unique Afrobeats and dancehall production while still rapping with elite penmanship with cuts like a Western Road flows. At this point around the middle of the 2010s era, the question held in the highest regard, is this a classic album, was starting to pop up in the conversation with the discographies of these two MCs. Similarly, the iPhone and Samsung Galaxies established themselves as the ones to push the smartphone industry for the years to come. They became the faces of smartphones and clearly had the formula everyone was trying to model after. Over time, Kendrick and the iPhone focused more on being a master of one, and Drake and Samsung focused on being a jack of all trades. Over Kendrick's career, he's only had a total of 6 studio albums in his catalog. While Kendrick fans have been eating over the last year, normally fans were always starving. Kung Fu Kenny likes to take his sweet time to craft each of his albums, and he focused solely just on rap. But every single one of his albums never failed to be a cultural defining moment, specifically his 3-album run, NGNX. The time he took paid off. Shoot, the dude literally was the first rapper to get the prestigious Pulitzer Prize for his album Damn. He would focus solely on perfecting his album, which is why he only released every 2 to 3 years. Meanwhile, Drake popped up every single year in all different kinds of ways with a much larger catalog. He had superstar collab albums, hopped on other genres, accents, and production styles, but at the same time brought light to those as well. The Drake stimulus was insane. If you had Drake on your song, it was an instant hit. Every other rapper's biggest hit is with Drake. He wasn't just the hit maker, more so, he was the hit factory. Sliding on every single type of sound, and it wasn't even through pop. He was the feature everyone wanted. He really could slide in anyone's lane artistically, on top of himself having his own culturally defining giga hit year after year, which is how he also made history being the Billboard Artist of the Decade. A lot of Kendrick's criticism has been that he doesn't have as much music, whereas Drake's criticism has been that he doesn't have as many classics or focused albums. It's crazy because literally the way the iPhone and Galaxy lineups are the same. For the iPhone, Apple has basically only had 3 models of the iPhone every year. It's just the normal iPhone with other sizes, then a cheaper line, and then the Pro series. But they're all relatively similar, so if you don't like one of their few options, that's kind of it. Whereas Samsung has literally come out with so many different kinds of phones in every price range and niche. Especially in the very beginning, they had Galaxy everything. Galaxy Nexus, Galaxy Note, Galaxy Stratosphere, Galaxy Edge with curved glass, Galaxy Zoom with a full camera. Shoot, they even had the Galaxy S Beam, which literally had a projector inside of the phone. They also have their Galaxy A series, which is actually how they dominated the budget market. It's actually their top selling phone for the recent years. And now we have folding phones as their latest unique iteration. In the earlier iPhone years, Apple would always focus on elevating the core of their user experience with less features but more refined ones. On the flip side, Samsung tried every single feature out there. From health scanners, Samsung DeX, to their own OS in Tizen, to eye tracking, the S Pen being a TV remote, air hovering, it was honestly clear that they would try a feature just to say they had it, whereas the iPhone would focus always on being the best at what they did. It was often noted that Apple would wait to launch a new feature only if they knew they could do it better than their competitors. It's not to say that being a master of one or jack of all trades is better, or even mutually exclusive, because both of the two rappers and smartphones have displayed both. It's just clear that in terms of their overarching strategy of output, Kendrick and the iPhone lean towards being a master of one, and Samsung and Drake lean the other way. What's crazy is Samsung actually had a moment that was wildly similar to Drake's diss track Family Matters. This was hyped up to be Drake's nuke in the beef, but it actually played out to be the complete opposite after Kendrick had a crazy chess move when he replied just 52 minutes later with Meet the Grams.
1 hour later.
Kendrick ruthlessly destroyed Drake's reputation in this moment while also stopping Drake from having any moment at all. Kendrick also later broke some things down that would discredit the validity of Drake's Family Matters. What Drake thought would be his move to take himself to the top of the beef actually made him look worse. And literally the same thing happened with Samsung, arguably worse. In 2016, Samsung was gearing up to release one of their best phones of all time. This really would have been one of their career-defining phones. It was the Galaxy Note 7. That phone looks so good, my goodness, and its S Pen features were incredibly refined. The initial reviews were saying that it was an amazing phone. It checked all the boxes of what you would want in the ideal phone, except it exploded. Literally. We thought it was a one-off accident, but the phone battery would actually explode. There's even live footage of celebrity sponsor CeeLo Green passing out because the phone blew up in his face, which immediately went viral and massively tarnished Samsung's reputation because they had to recall the entire phone for being a safety hazard. Samsung instantly became the butt of a joke and Apple users were clowning them so hard with endless memes. This year was the lowest of lows for Samsung when it was supposed to be a huge success, just like Drake's Family Matters, and fans made it known. Which brings us to the fan bases. When Apple does something, often Apple glazers will be like, oh my gosh, Apple is so innovative, as if they were always the first to do things and literally everything they do is so much better than Samsung or Android, when often that's just not true.
Attention everyone! I've purchased the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Okay, cool.
Titanium, action button.
Ooh.
You guys don't understand the significance of this iPhone.
Introducing the new iPhone.
Damn, another one?
What are the new features? It doesn't matter. It's a new iPhone.
Where's the line? You're right.
Very true.
But if you must know, it comes in 2 sizes.
Very innovative.
Apple glazers also always be talking trash on their competitors just to say Apple is better. Oddly enough, there aren't really Samsung glazers, more so Apple haters. Often extreme Android enthusiasts or Samsung users love to hate the crap out of Apple, in which we see Kenny Glazers. As Kendrick broke the internet with the beef, we've never seen Kenny Glazers like this.
So someone has to say it, all right? Kendrick Lamar fans. Y'all are getting annoying. I hate to say it as someone who likes Kendrick and grew up listening to him, but I think there's a huge split between how Kendrick fans were before Not Like Us and how some of them are after it. Now I want to get something straight. I already know some of his core glazers are gonna immediately be like,
yeah, man, you not like us. Oh, Jake talking, my bad.
Kenny Glazers will never give constructive criticism to Kendrick and will always just declare in all regards that Kendrick is better than Drake. And just like the flip side of Apple Glazers, We've never really seen Kendrick haters until now, and they're likely Drake stans, which is insane, and this is where there's some inconsistency in my parallel between smartphones and rappers, because before the beef,
Y'all think Drake fans are bad now, but for people that knew them before the beef, they were a different breed. They will come to his defense at any time you would refer to him as anything but the GOAT. I remember used to post his lyrics on their stories and think it's the hardest ever. You couldn't say Drake was trash at all.
Oddly enough, even with Kendrick performing on America's biggest stage, some fans called Kendrick's Super Bowl performance the worst Super Bowl performance ever, which is a new level of hate I thought Kendrick was immune to. But it was through these fan bases that led to winning a culture war. It's clear that both the iPhone and Kendrick have won the culture war, especially in America. Despite Apple's major failures over the recent years, which you can learn about here, not only is the iPhone continuously still the best-selling phone each year, it's not even close in America, almost a monopoly. 87% of teens in the US have an iPhone. If you have an Android in America, apparently you're weird for whatever reason. iMessage has become iconic and the standard of communication in which if you make green bubbles come up, you are looked down upon. And yeah, that's whack. But yeah, Apple just dominated with too many cultural moments. Apple just established their brand identity better than Samsung. And at this moment in time, the same exact sentiment goes with Kendrick and Drake. The general consensus from the masses is that Kendrick won the cultural war with the beef, honestly by a landslide. There's been a massive shift with Drake's current reputation, while Kendrick has had a run we have never seen before. It's crazy because before, Drake actually consecutively dominated the culture for the last decade. The amount of memes, hit singles, trends, and slang phrases this guy made was endless. But as of late, Kendrick and Apple are winning the culture war. At the end of the day, it's us, the consumers, that win. But what do y'all think? Where do you think I had inconsistencies? Can the comparisons be the other way around? With Iceman around the corner, will the tables turn, or will Kendrick continue his generational run if GNX Deluxe comes out? Will the iPhone Air do anything? Is J. Cole the Google Pixel? What did I miss? Let me know in the comments. Peace!